I recently made several mating nukes, but I didn't want to use the two-frame type that many people do. Instead, I used my 5-frame nuke boxes, but I added a follower board so that I can start using the box as a two-framer and then expand out to a two-framer along with a frame feeder if I wanted to, and even extend it out all the way to full 5 frames if I found that the mating nuke was growing into a regular nuke and I just needed the space. In these pictures you can see that I made a customized bottom board that has a 2.5-inch opening to allow access to that portion of the nuke which will always be containing bees, as opposed to that space on the far side of the of the follower board which will not have bees. The attached piece of plastic is a piece of plastic from a heavy bag that my stove pellets come from. That piece of plastic is attached with hot glue to the top of the follower board. As the follower board is moved to the far side of the nuke box, that piece of plastic extends out into the air, and I think it will do a pretty good job of sealing that space when the top cover is put back in place. Note the underside of my top cover has a rim, a 3/8 inch rim all around the circumference. Because of the style of nuke box I have, leaves very little space on the top bars or above the top bars for the bees to walk around on, and I want to be feeding them some patties as well as putting Swiffer pads to control small hive beetles, and I need a space on top of the top bars, thus the perimeter rim on the underside of my top cover. I already have a few 10-frame langs that have been converted into queen castles, but I find them a little bit cumbersome, particularly when it comes to feeding with inverted jars where I need to surround the jars with an empty shell, then put a lid on it. I think that having a nuke like the ones I'm designing here with an internal single frame feeder will facilitate feeding. Since I am just looking for a place to put some cells from time to time and get some mated queens that I can use in my own apiary or share with others, I think that these nukes will work just fine. By the way, all beekeeping is local. I'm in mid-Maryland, so what works for me might not work for you. In this photo you see that the bottom board has been painted. As I mentioned earlier, I use AdvanTech as material for the bottom board. I got it from Lowe's. I also use Gorilla Tape to attach the bottom boards to the nuke. I don't use staples. Gorilla Tape works just fine. Note also that the 3/4 inch rim around my bottom board combined with the 1/4 inch bee space beneath the bottom bars gives adequate room to avoid damaging swarm cells that might be on the bottom of the frames that I drop in there. And finally, this is a close-up of the follower board. You can see that it's made of hardboard tempered panel stapled to its own top bar stick with the plastic that is hot glued to the top of the assembly.